Today we are going to look at the Atari Flashback 8 Gold, which I bought on eBay for £5. As you can see, the power port at the back is completely gone, and there are some marks and dirt around the device which we need to look at too. The Flashback 8 Gold was released in the midst of the modern mini console craze, started by Nintendo with the NES Classic. Like other mini consoles, it uses emulation to emulate its games. Now the form factor is very similar to the previous released Atari Flashback consoles. For example, its form factor takes inspiration from the original Atari 2600, but instead of switches on the front panel, it uses large buttons. And the overall console is smaller than the original 2600. The Atari Flashback 8 console was the first in the Atari Flashback line to add support for 720p via HDMI, and controllers connected via wireless instead of infrared, which the previous versions used. So, let's begin the restoration. Let's turn the flashback over, which reveals 4 hidden screws, and a 5th screw which is hidden underneath this label. Using IPA, I soaked the label, which helps peeling the label and get access to the hidden screw. Unfortunately, the glue is pretty tough, so parts of the label is still on the plastic. We'll deal with this later on. We then unscrew all 5 screws around the console. With the screws now removed, we flip the console back over and lift and slide slightly to the right the top lid. We do this because there is the HDMI port which is attached to the bottom shell. We move the bottom shell to one side and then flip the top shell, which reveals and gives us our first look inside the Flashback Gold 8. Let's talk about what powers the Flashback 8 Gold. The Atari Flashback 8 is powered by the Monkey King 3.6 processor. It is a rebranded chip of the Rockchip RK3036 SoC. It is a low-powered SoC designed for smart TV boxes and other digital media applications. The SoC integrates the CPU and GPU into one chip. The Monkey King 3.6 has a dual-core ARM Cortex A7 CPU clocked up to 1.2 GHz and has a Mali 400 MP GPU clocked between 200 and 600 MHz. The Atari Flashback 8 Gold has 256 MB of DDR3 RAM with a clock speed of 667 MHz. And finally, the Atari Flashback 8 Gold has 4 GB of NAND flash storage. This contains all of the Atari 2600 game ROMs, the emulator and the operating system. The Flashback runs on Android 4.4 KitKat. With all the screws removed, we can now remove the boards from the top shell and all the buttons. To remove the marks on the shell, I use IPA and slowly scrub away the marks with a sponge. With the marks now removed, let's give the shells and buttons a well-deserved wash. With the shells and buttons now washed, let's leave them to dry outside while we focus our attention on the main board. With the main board now out, we now have access to the power port. It doesn't look damaged, so let's see if we get any power. I will be using this power supply, rated at 5 volts 1 amp. With everything now connected, let's see if we get any power. And we do. And we further test the flashback by connecting it to a display and connecting an Atari controller. With everything plugged in, the Atari boots up perfectly and the controller functions too. So with the shells now dry and looking fantastic, now is the perfect time to reassemble the Atari Flashback 8 Gold. Due to the power port not being fully secured with the mounting screw, I'll be using hot glue around the port to give it extra support and less chance of it breaking again. And with the use of hot glue, the port seems a lot more secure than it was before. Next, we need to tackle the label issue. I first pierce a hole to put the final screw in. I'll be using double-sided tape, and then I apply the double-sided tape over where the label will be placed. I do this slowly and push any air bubbles out in the process. And it's good as new. And here is the final results. The Atari Flashback 8 Gold is as good as new and looking fantastic. Let's plug it in and power it on and play some iconic Atari 2600 games. This is incredible. Thank you so much everyone for watching this video, and until next time, bye for now.